Yeah, maybe, but the racket will talk.
Welcome to episode 11 of the Racket Will Talk podcast. We have witnessed, I would say, quite the crescendo to the Roland Garros tournament. And in order to, well, Sam and I really disagree on this. So I have brought in a third party who I'm hoping is going to be on my side throughout it. We've got our friend Marty on here. He's far more of an expert on tennis than us. So if he agrees with me, that means we're right. And I'm hoping on the whole he agrees with me. We just finished, we watched the Roland Garros final yesterday, one of the best finals ever, the streets are saying. Second longest Grand Slam final ever. Carlos Alcaraz beat Jannik Sinner. The day before, Coco Gauff beat Sabalenka in the women's final. We're here to talk about essentially the second half of the tournament, but then the tournament as a whole as well. Firstly, hello Marty, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing fine. Thank you for the introduction and perfect intro, by the way.
You're doing better than if Jannik had won yesterday.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I was crashing out a little, but at the end it ended up just like I wanted, so it's okay. 2
sets of crashing out, then crashing back in again.
Then Sam was crashing out for the 3 next sets.
And then some. So we thought we would start talking about the women's tournament, actually, because for once it's the one that we thought was probably a little bit slightly less interesting, although, on the whole, more interesting. But that final weekend, at least, had a little bit less to it. So we'll start with, the final, with the quarterfinals?
I think we can actually start where we left off, actually, with Boisson, who was, probably the breakout sensation from Roland Garros, I think it's fair to say. She, as we included in the last episode, she defeated Pegula, and then she went on to beat Andreeva, which we were not expecting whatsoever. I think we literally buried her in that preview, and yet she managed to somehow win that match.
Marty, did you watch?
I watched the Andreeva match a little. I think Mira started well, but then the crowd got into her a lot. The French crowd just, she's just 18, so it's still this was maybe her first time against such a hostile crowd, because the crowd wasn't very nice towards her. I know she was you can say crashing out, because she was, putting the ball to the crowd, towards them, basically. There was some moment that a lot of people on Twitter were attacking her for it. But yeah, Boisson played really well. She just wasn't making that many unforced errors, and she was running Andreeva around, and she just I know Conchita. I was watching the match, and Conchita was like, "Come on, Mira, you need to be aggressive. Come on!" And she just couldn't be aggressive, and she was just running, and it wasn't enough. So I think it was very impressive from Boisson, actually, because this was her first Grand Slam, and she was playing like this in a quarterfinal, which I don't know, that's something pretty impressive for me.
Scary times for the tour, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah, I think for sure I personally underestimated the effect the French crowd would have on Andreeva, and it's partly you forget about her age. People used to mention it every 10 seconds, but you still forget about how young that is emotionally. And I thought she'd be so good that the crowd really wouldn't have a chance to get into it, which is pretty much what we saw in the Coco Boisson match. But she got really affected, fairly early on. She lost leads, she had set points. Boisson came back. I think we agreed she played better than in the Pegula match, though, right, Sam?
Actually, I think by a lot. That's also a part of our mistake, maybe. That we just assumed that she would just play as well as she did against Pegula and not better than that. But actually, she was a lot better. I thought that she served super well, especially in that first set. She was blasting first serves at really high speed and to good placement. We didn't see that much of it in the quarters. The roof was on, that probably helped. But overall, I think she just performed at a higher level than we anticipated. And so with the crowd and Andreeva, I think, really losing sight of the whole thing with the crowd and all of it in that second set, there were a lot that we probably couldn't have seen coming to that extent, I think.
I kind of think she's the perfect French player to go up in front of the Roland Garros crowd, because she feels like she is spurred on by their energy, but not overwhelmed by the pressure in the way that you see with a lot of these French players. I thought she did it amazingly, like her kind of composure in that moment. I wonder if we'll see her like do anything on grass, because you think with her game and her tools, she has a good chance on there. What are your guys' thoughts on, is she a lesbian or is she just French?
Personally, I think she's just French because, like, I don't know. We have been burnt many times.
Yeah, actually, very many times. Sam, you must be the expert.
I actually don't know either. I don't know what to tell you. It's could be both. Could be only French.
It could be not French at all. If you were to make a fake French name, would you not just pick like the first word you read on a menu?
That's fair.
So then she made it through, beat Andreeva in straight sets.
Yes.
Yeah, crazy. To play Coco in the semi-final, that was a nothing. Coco did exactly what you expected her to do. She did what we expected Mira to do, to be honest. Just didn't give her anything, didn't give the crowd anything, and made it through there. But a great run nonetheless for Boisson. Any other kind of notable quarterfinals for the women? Oh, I have one.
I mean, I've in my mind, Zhang and Sabalenka and Swiatek and Svitolina, which were played on the same afternoon, actually are pretty similar in many ways, as far as I'm concerned. I thought they were like fairly even as far as like levels. I thought Zhang and Svitolina both played quite well, but big moments in both matches just dominated by Sabalenka and Swiatek, who, I mean, showed their like better experience and overall probably better clay game as well. Zhang especially, I thought had like really gave herself some chances. Like the way she was playing, I felt was impressive and what she would have wanted. But yeah, when it came time to actually save break points and play a tie break, Sabalenka was just all over it, and so that's why it was only 2 sets.
I personally thought that the Keys Gauff match was quite notable. Kind of a shocking performance from both of them, especially Keys. We said it before the match, like previewing it, maybe even before the tournament. I said I don't want this to happen because it's so ugly when it does happen. They just hit so many unforced errors for some reason. They don't like playing each other. Like it doesn't work well for them. And that was an absolute mess. And probably, well, other than the final, like the dodgiest it ever looked for Coco, who made a comeback in the first set, but then Keys kind of held her off to win a tie break. She saved some set points on the way. So that was a tight 3-setter, and could have gone either way. We could be... one player was very close to halfway to the calendar year Grand Slam, and I'm not going to say who it was. That's just my opinion. Any notable kind of quarterfinal things, Marty?
No, for me it was probably the Svetlana Swiatek match, because I think Elina should have taken to the third set. Just like, I don't know, I'm kind of biased.
Yeah,
no
no bias is being showed here at all.
Never.
Amy in the first set she had many chances. Like, I think the breadstick 6-1, it was kind of unfair to her because she had so many chances. She just was unclutch, and I think that's the story of her career basically. She's just unclutch in those big matches. But especially in the second set, I think she got 5-4 deuce, and she missed the easiest forehand return. Like, I was like, what are you doing, Alina? You need to, because Iga was kind of, I think she was a little bit nervous in that game, and she was making a lot of errors, especially from the forehand side. And Alina just like Kvitova, she misses the easiest forehand return.
Why are you bringing her into this? She hasn't even done anything.
Because I watched the match in Queens today, and she was missing easy forehand returns.
Yeah, I mean, Svitolina is now, I think, 0-5 in Roland Garros quarterfinals. That's
just Roland Garros. I thought you were going to say Slam quarterfinals.
Yeah, no. But no, she's won Slam quarterfinals. She's made semis.
But like, that started against Halep, and we all know how that ended. That Halep match when she was 5 fluff up, I think, and it was in 2017, and she lost the match. So crazy times.
This year was just like millions of these kind of comebacks every single round, right?
Yeah. I don't know what is in the air there. I don't know. But also I don't know how to say Queen Wen Cheng. We are in Czech. We are calling her Chin Wen Cheng. So I don't know if that's correct or not. But
You go for it. She said before, you can call me Queen Wen, King Wen. Like, she does not care.
yeah, maybe Queen Wen. That's the best way to say. But I think in the first set where she lost the first set, she was making a lot of errors. Like people say that Sabalenka raised her level, but like she was making so many errors and so many easy errors to get Sabalenka back. So I think Aryna was kind of lucky that this didn't go to the third set because I think Queen Wen wasn't on her best. Like the first four games, she was playing really well, and Aryna had a lot of problems, but then she just like kind of went away. So yeah, but overall, the quarterfinals on the women's side weren't that good, I guess, like quality wise.
Really? I thought they were kind of enticing.
Like compared to the round of 16 matches.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I find that it's often that feels to me often the case where you get really good fourth round, and then the quarterfinals you have these matchups where it feels super decided beforehand. Like there's no real world where I'm picking Svitolina over Iga at Roland Garros, even when Iga's in kind of sketchy form. And then we had the other semi-final. We had some rain, we had some weather, and we had a very, very famous closing of the roof, which Sam has. The only thing that made Sam shut up about the closing of the roof was the men's final.
It let me move on, I guess. No,
You went from crash out to crash out.
it's literally, yeah. No, it sounds like like a pretty bad excuse, but I do think in many ways it influenced the way this match played out because, I mean, for the first two sets, especially this match was all about serve return, serve return, serve return. They played so many incredibly short points, which, I mean, Sabalenka does that a lot, but Świątek, to win that match, she would want to play rallies, basically, to make it last, to force Sabalenka into errors. That's how she beats her most of the time, especially on like slower clay. But under the roof, I mean, they were just both blasting returns all over the place. That first set actually was crazy. I don't know if I actually like seen anything like that. They broke each other again and again and again because they were just destroying, hitting every return as hard as they could. In some ways, it was actually quite impressive, but also they were also missing quite a bit. But yeah, I think that's really informed the way this match played out. But when that third set came, it just felt like Sabalenka had more to give, more energy, I guess, because I mean, in that first set, Świątek was down like quite heavily. I mean, I think it was like 4-1, and
Sabalenka had a point for 5-1, right? It was the
Yeah, that was the net court ace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So she was actually all over her early on, but then Świątek came back, and it became way more like even. And then it went to a tiebreak, and then Sabalenka actually played super well in that tiebreak and took it. And so when that first set came, and Sabalenka took like the first two games, which were kind of close. I mean, Iga started missing too much. It just felt like Iga just didn't have anything else in the tank from that point on, and she just went away completely and won only I think 6 points in that first set. So.
What's your read on the match, Marty? Because I think you're slightly less biased.
I don't know, many shocking things in that match. Many shocking things. First of all, when I was watching the first set, I thought I was watching like Guadalajara. Like it was so fast, like Sam said, extremely fast. And I don't think it was this fast like when Naomi played Iga last year. I just don't think it was this fast, like the court. I don't know if it's just like I see it or if it's faster. If it was faster, I don't know. But yeah, it was shocking in many ways. First, like Aryna, really strong performance, still 4-1. Then Iga started playing better, definitely. Aryna was a little shaky. Then the tiebreak, I mean, there was no conversation there. Aryna was better. But what was the most shocking thing for me was that Iga came back into the match, played really well, and like we were in the third set. There was this one point that I think won Aryna the match, and then it was the point at 30-all when she was 1-love, I think, where Iga played great return and Aryna half volleyed the forehand into the open court. It was similar to Keys in Austrian Open final, like when she did that. It was the same score, and then from that moment, Iga like went to Poland. I don't know where she went. Like that, obviously Aryna played really well in that third set, but I don't know. Like Aryna had to stay solid. Like Iga was mishitting a lot of shots. She couldn't make a return, and it was kind of shocking to see like that dip of her level. But I think Aryna deserved to win overall, like definitely. But it was. I think the third set put some shadow on the match because I think till that point it was great, and the third set was kind of sad way to end the match, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think calling it a dip's quite generous. Like that,
Yeah.
that was a collapse.
That was a collapse. Yeah.
You know what it felt similar to me? The only thing I could, kind of compare it to was the Cornet match at Wimbledon, where it was like everything that Iga had done, those 42 matches were all resting on top of this one, and it collapsed under the weight of it. It was like, this felt like if she was going to go out after winning so many Roland Garros matches in a row, was 27? 26, it would be from like all of the pent up frustration and energy and everything just kind of released in one go, and it was like she just did not have anything else to give type thing. Like she hit the wall. If anyone's ever done like run a marathon or something, actually in cycling we call it bonking, where you're empty and you don't have anything left. I don't think she was physically empty. I think it was like an emotional.
Yeah, she was definitely emotionally empty. It was just so obvious. Like I think all the emotions like she used in that Rybakina comeback, as you definitely covered in your previous episode, and then like.
Bro, you have to listen to the podcast. Maybe you've talked about it. I don't know. I'm not a listener.
No, I listened to it doesn't matter. And yeah, and it looks like she used so many emotions like to come back into the second set. She was playing really well. Then suddenly after she made the second set, she just like, I have nothing left. So.
And I think again it was, I reckon there's like 1% of that, maybe more than that, of that was because it was against Sabalenka, and she felt like, even if I play as well as I am capable of playing right now, I might not stand a chance against her. It was when she was broken in that second game, she was like broken. I think, but
Yes.
but I mean, when she was broken in the tennis term, she was broken in the, in the emotional, way.
Yeah. So yeah, it's the end of the reign. As the French commentators kept saying, like, I mean, that's what it is. I overall not that bad of a tournament for Swiatek. I felt could have gone way worse. Almost did go way worse in that fourth round. So I think given her form coming in, and that whole match against Sabalenka in those conditions, that's about as much as she could have hoped for, I think. So yeah, and for Sabalenka it obviously meant so much because she quite clearly has been the best player in the world. But you could always like add an asterisk and be like, well, she's the best player in the world on hard course, on quicker surfaces, but on clay, Swiatek, you would say she still is better. And she, probably was out to prove that wrong and just say, no, I'm just the best, period. And so she won that match, and that felt important for her in that way as well.
There felt like a lot riding on that match before they started of it. And I think because of the way it ended, for me, it didn't feel that way afterwards. It didn't feel necessarily like the defining match that we were expecting it to. Like, if Sabalenka had really wrestled it from Iga, you start putting question marks over the whole reign of Roland Garros. But because it wasn't that, it felt a bit more like a blip for Iga. I don't know.
Oh, she has had many blips so in this season. So
yeah, it's just like blip, 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 blip. Malfunctioning for sure. I have a question for you both, which is Iga related. It's a bit of a sliding doors thing. So we all agree that she was playing really well at the start of the season in the Australian Open, and was the best. It was her best Australian Open she's ever had. If she converts that match point against Madison Keys, makes the final of AO, does her season look different? Or are we still looking at like she loses that final to Sabalenka and she still has this strange period?
I don't know. I actually think it might depend on maybe the result of the final. You'd think if she, like, the momentum of like winning that Australian Open might have been like so powerful that all her like mental baggage that she had like kind of accumulated maybe since the Olympics, all of what that happened with like the doping ban and all of it. Perhaps just the momentum of that win would have just made it like it didn't happen, like a clean start, and most likely she would have done better from there. But it's like so many hypotheticals in all of it. Probably, yeah, I think it might have had a big impact, but very hard to say.
Yeah, I kind of agree because like I think Australian Open title would like she would maybe forget about those Olympics, because I think everything she is happening right now about her is still from the Olympics, like and probably the doping ban, but she's so emotional and she was like so sad about the Olympic semifinal that she just seemed broken from there, like already, even when she, I know she had the doping ban, but even at the US Open, I don't think she was like ready. Like she was, like the Pegula match, I don't think obviously this season she played worse matches, but till then, like the Pegula match was the worst match I've ever seen her play. So I think maybe if she won the Australian Open, she could forget about the Olympics and maybe her season could look better, could look different, but it's tough to say.
I kind of agree with that assessment. I thought and also the sooner you could get it out your mind, the better. And she was really close. And I think you're right about the Pegula match. People don't talk about that, but that was really awful. She was so bad.
That was horrible.
Yeah. And look where it got us. Look what we had to deal with because of it. I could no longer say that Pegula has no slam finals, which used to be my saving grace. Any other kind of bits on that semi-final?
No, I mean, I think narratively a lot. I think you can make some connections in like the way maybe the Świątek and Gauff matchup look on slow clay for Sabalenka, because they are not the same player, of course, but basically what Świątek wants in that matchup is to play a lot of like long rallies that she can win and like force Sabalenka into errors. Gauff is looking at probably at a similar game plan, maybe an even more defensive version of that. But basically she wants to like blend that power and just make it super tough and make Aryna miss a bunch. And I mean, once again, they almost actually, I think, played under the roof. And once again, I think that could have been quite big in the other way in that final if they had played under it. But no, they ended up playing outdoors, was super like windy, which Sabalenka, we found out later, did not appreciate at all. and yeah, I mean, the two matches feel kind of related in that way.
I mean, I don't know if anything about her semi-final per se, but I know there was this one controversial moment about the ball mark, where, if you remember, where Iga wanted to check the ball mark, but the umpire said it's too late. I don't know who the umpire was. I think it was Kader Nouni, and he said it's like too late. And then she came to the press conference and she said, so she seemed, obviously she was pissed, but she said something like, I don't know why like Kader didn't come to check the mark. Like he was coming down for Aryna's mark even if it was 2 meters out, he came down and he didn't come from me. So I think it's pretty. I don't think she said unfair, but I think she said like she just didn't get it, and I think that was kind of like. I understood her frustration, but I think the quote wasn't really like. But obviously, we had so many controversial quotes which we get into. But yeah, this one kind of. I don't know why she brought Aryna into it, kind of, but
Well, they love to talk about each other.
They sure do.
See, I found it weird because I thought early on that the umpire really seemed to be on Iga's side. Like that let on the ace. Like Sabalenka had already sat down almost. And then he went, let. And everyone was like, oh, okay, apparently.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, he's rooting for Iga today.
Isn't it like automatic? I don't understand how that happened.
I do think it's by machine, but then when I was watching the men's final yesterday, someone said, one of the commentators said that it's done by the umpire.
Because it's not beeping, I think. Like at some tournaments it beeps when you hear it, but here it isn't beeping. So
I think on the tour it beeps, and then at least at Roland Garros and maybe all the slams, it's done by the umpire, which I find so much inconsistency with the ELCs, the no ELCs. Oh, we're Hawkeye Live. No, in this tournament the umpire comes down from the chair. Like, I would be confused.
Yeah. Honestly, I think they should just move it to automatic line calling.
You're going to get your own way soon, but I think it's sad. I do think it's really, really sad, especially when I think back on watching Wimbledon when I was younger, and the little line judges sticking out their hands was such a relevant part. The court does feel empty without them.
You know what I like? I like the challenges. I thought that was really fun.
Oh yeah. That is true, and everyone used to clap in the stands.
Yeah, I love challenges. Yeah, but it's the way of the future, I guess.
Yeah, and in the long run, it's probably good because there's less. it's all about quality, I guess. Apparently nowadays.
I mean, it's just more consistent.
Yeah, but the system is still flawed. Like you still get mistakes, and like what is flawed is like the Empire can't correct these mistakes if he sees them. I think there was some controversy that like if the ball was so far out, but he couldn't correct it because the automatic line call it in. So I think there should be some rules or something.
The idea is that unless it malfunctions, which I guess it can, it's wrong consistently, right? It's not like in the past where we all watched, well, we didn't watch because we were babies, but we've seen footage of the 2002 US Open semi-final with Serena and Capriati, was it that year, where the line judge just obviously hated Serena for some reason, and was the calls were just the most ridiculous thing. You can see it from watching it on YouTube, 320p footage that the ball was in. Anyway, we can, I think, move on to the final, which, lucky for our listeners, I didn't really watch much of. I have since seen the first set, but I don't feel like I'm in a good place to talk about it. So I'll hand over to you guys. Marty, what did you make of the final, the women's final?
I mean, I will say it was a tactical masterclass from Coco, because Aryna was obviously not feeling great. I mean, 70 and first, come on, like that was not a good match from her. On the other hand, Coco was playing very well tactically. She was looping the balls, she was slicing, she was doing everything she could in her power to put one more ball back. And I think the main reason why Aryna lost was the first set, even though she won it, which is crazy, but she was, I think, 4-1 for the love.
Same thing as before. She had points for 5-1.
She had points for 5-1, but it felt different this time because with Iga, I think Iga just raised her level a little, and here I think Aryna just like had a dip in her level, and she continued to have that dip till the end, basically, because like she was just playing. I don't know, like she made some flashy shots, but there were a lot of easy errors, especially at the net, because there were so many volleys where she had an open court and she just like put it into the net. And there were some flashy shots from Coco too, from defense. I remember that one backhand down the line at 6-5, that was amazing. And yeah, I just think Coco was well prepared, and she can play against Sabalenka. She beat her many times, and Sabalenka obviously doesn't like to play her, and she needs to be at her best to beat Coco, I think, because I think like for the last 2 times where she beat Coco, she won the trophy. I think.
She definitely beat her in Beijing.
Oh, she beat her in Wuhan. Yeah, so 3 times she won the trophy. So I guess she wasn't ready to win the trophy. I don't know.
It wasn't her time.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was interesting in many ways. Yeah, Sabalenka, I think, actually started really great. She looked really good for a good, like, 20 minutes-ish, until, she was broken back for the first time, and then it got, like, super cagey and, like, close. At that point, I still didn't feel like Gauff was playing great. Until they, like, and actually the way the set ended was super interesting, because Gauff had a lead, and Sabalenka just played probably her best tennis of the match in like 4 consecutive points, and she just took over that set, and not much Gauff could do at that point. But from then, it just became all about Gauff. I think maybe it was actually a lot to do with the last 4 points. She just realized, I just got to go into like lockdown and just defend everything. I actually think in that type of matchup, when there's like a lot of offense on the other side, when Gauff tries to like match it and be like super offensive herself, I actually think she ends up like missing too much and just like kind of losing her way. When you're just focused on making every ball, hitting deep, making it uncomfortable but not risking that much, and just running, I actually think sometimes that's when she plays her best. And I think she missed like, she probably was around like 15 to 20 unforced errors in that first set. Set 2 and 3 combined, I think she was only at like 10. So maybe like 5 unforced errors each in set 2 and 3. That's not much at all. In the end, against someone who hit so hard, I mean, she did really what she needed to. And then, Sabalenka couldn't handle it in many ways. Just started going for too much, missed. I think the wind really was tough. I mean, she talks about it after. that's tough conditions for her to play Coco in, and yeah, she just didn't have what it took to win that day at least.
Do you think the previous matchups, and in particular the US Open final, where Sabalenka was a set up and went off the rails, and it seemed that every rally, I think Andrea Petkovic wrote about this, but you notice it as well, every rally kind of bothered Sabalenka more and more. So even if she wins the rally, the fact that she has to hit 6 great shots to win the rally, and then the next point she has to hit 7 great shots, and it almost builds on you. The defense is building up over time. Do you think this match was in her head and affected the result, or do you think it's literally just like, I mean, we know Sabalenka carries baggage. Do you think it's baggage from the US Open final, or it's just kind of just a matchup thing?
I would even say that 2 matches were in her head. The Coco one, and I think even the Madison one from the Australian Open final. Because even there she had chances, and like obviously she wasn't close there, and she wasn't close here. But it felt like she could win it, especially in the Madison final. Like she won the second set quite easily, and then Madison played incredibly well. But here, obviously she had some scars from the US Open final, and I just remember one moment in the third set where Coco was serving for it, and Aryna saved the match point with amazing return. Like it was pretty lucky return, but it was amazing return straight like on the line. And then she got the break point, and I was like, okay, this is the moment where she turns it around. And I will bring her up again, Petra Kvitova style. She misses the forehand return totally. Like there was no reason for her to go for that match, but that was exactly what you said. That Coco was so in her head that she thought she has to go for that match, so she like doesn't get the ball back and hits the winner, which I don't think is the right strategy against Coco. You need to build up the points and not just like play the big ball from the first shot. But yeah,
the most annoying thing to me is when players have break points and they don't get the return in play. It's just get the return in play. You're just giving them a freebie by missing the return. I don't even care if it's a kind of shit return. Just get it back, because they might like shank the forehand into the net, whatever. I can't stand it. That drives me crazy.
Yeah, same. And I grew up with Petra Kvitova, so like I'm at this point I'm insane.
She is. We barely mentioned her the whole existence of this podcast, and here she is. Like, what's the thing with Sabalenka? Like, what decides whether or not she's gonna be kind of seem almost like a mental giant in Slam finals, or what decides whether she's gonna be like whatever this was? Because the Pegula final in the US Open, like, it wasn't as tight, but she did have these times where she just stepped up her level when it was important. Played some, I think it was in this one, it was crazy drop shots to just put Pegula away. In the Australian Open final, she was the first one against Rybakina from a set down. She had trouble serving at that final game. I feel like she's either new Sabalenka that we think of now, plays the big points really well, or like old-timey Sabalenka who you don't know what's going on, and there are 70 unforced errors. Do you know what decides it? Is it just a random flip of a coin? Like, is it the opponent?
I think, position has quite a lot to do with it. And it's just, there was like too much going on for her, I think, for her to just keep hanging on mentally. I think it's just too much. Gauff is making every single ball. The wind is like blowing like crazy, and you're not even sure if you can actually make the ball in. I think it was too much for her that day. And honestly, I think in those conditions, she loses that match like most of the time.
I wanted to say something, now I forgot.
Was it about Kvitova?
No, it was something about, I wanted to say that coming into this final, when you like look into Aryna's head, you just beat in the semi-final like one of the greatest clay courters in the last couple of seasons, and 4-time Roland Garros champion, and you still have to play the final, and you play like this. Like, I feel like maybe she was too high on emotions after the Iga win. Like, she just was, okay, this is it. I beat Iga. there is like no one can beat me. If I beat Iga, no one can beat me. And I think she came into this match, and I think even the post-match conference like shows that she just like wasn't prepared to lose to Coco. She was so keen on the winning, like she knew she was gonna win. And then when she lost, she just like wasn't prepared for playing this badly, obviously, but also like I don't know. She thought like I don't think she thought like Coco's gonna be like a big opponent for her after the Iga match. I don't know. It's kind of like I think that's what she thought in her head. I think it's wrong because Coco is obviously a very good player and all. But even the post-match conference and what she was saying, like like when she brought up Iga, it was like she was still in the semi-final when like, okay, I beat Iga, I'm gonna win this final, and she didn't, and that's why like she was so emotional, I guess, and so disrespectful.
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, she's like, because in that first set when she goes up 4-1, and she had the 40, it was like complacency. She felt in her head, she's like, right, okay, this set's done. I won that. Yeah. It's over. And maybe this also happened in the semi-final where she thought like, this is the hard bit done. I know I'm playing well enough to beat whoever you put in front of me. And there's a chance that everyone kind of underrates Coco at Roland Garros because it's not really spoken about much that the players she lost to, it was Iga, Krejcikova, last 4-5 years, whatever it was. 4 years. So like, but we don't think of her really that much as being like that good at Roland Garros. I don't think people talk about it that much. Her name's are always there when it's US Open time because she's American. But I feel like she doesn't come up as much at Roland Garros, whereas, yeah, we I guess everyone needs to start respecting her a bit more, especially you, Sabalenka.
I mean, yeah, for sure, and even in just like throughout the week, and I was watching her play a lot, and I just kept thinking like she deserved this, you know, like she's probably overall, yeah, I mean this decade basically, I think she's the second best player at Roland Garros, and that was the case before she actually won it. So yeah, I think it actually made a lot of sense for her to end up like taking that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. You were tweeting that if someone had to win for the Roland Garros for the first time, it should be Coco. So I guess you got your wish come true.
Kind of.
Yeah, that's the only thing he wished for. That's your big wish for the whole tournament. That's any kind of other comments on the final? We'll go into the big thing to talk about, the post-final, which obviously has to be discussed, because I don't think we've heard enough opinions on it yet.
Oh no, we need way more discourse, please. I need more. I need more tweets. I need more TikToks. I need all of it.
TikToks? Have there been TikToks?
Lots of them with like a bunch of likes, you know, like it's bad. It's really bad.
Okay. Anything about the tennis?
No, okay. Nothing.
Are we... Oh, 2 questions. One, are we concerned about Sabalenka going forward, or will she bounce back like she always does? And 2, which of them two wins the career slam first, if either of them do?
Well, that's a tough question, because even though Coco made her breakthrough at Wimbledon, she like never made it past 4th round, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
So, like obviously she will be very confident right now after the win at Roland Garros, but I still see Sabalenka winning Wimbledon earlier than her. On the other hand, we never know if Sabalenka is going to win French Open now. Like, you just don't know. So, I think it's 50-50, I guess, because like both have two of each. So, I don't know.
Yeah. On the first question, I think Sabalenka is going to come back just fine. That's the story of her career, you know. She got through something horrible, which in her mind that was a tournament, and then she finds a way to bounce back, like actually usually quite quickly as well. So I think she'll be fine. And as far as like the calendar slam, I do think she's probably favored to get there first, just because I still feel like she's a at worst top 2 contender at every slam she enters. And that's been the case for the past 2 years. And unless she like randomly like drops, I think that's going to remain the case for quite a while. So I think the odds are for now still on her side.
Can I ask a question? How many slam finals did like Azarenka make in her career?
5, 6, 5, I think. 2 Australian Opens and 3 US Opens.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Only
Yeah.
3, okay.
Yeah.
So I think like Sabalenka might be up there for second most slam finals in like since like 2005, next to Serena, because she's got 6 now.
Yeah, and like 3 in a row actually. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, the 3 in a row is really impressive. I mean, overall on the whole, another really great slam for Sabalenka. Her consistency is insane. She hasn't lost a Grand Slam match in straight sets since the US Open in 2020, where she lost to Azarenka.
That's crazy.
You know, Azarenka beat back-to-back Iga, straight sets, Sabalenka, straight sets, and then next player she played, do you know?
Wasn't it Muchova?
Yes, it was. She won a set, so GOAT debate settled.
And actually, I think that's also something kind of interesting, is that Sabalenka is far and away number 1 in the world. I think she has a pretty significant like gap in like the race points form this year. Most finals, most top 10 wins, I think, most wins period. She has all of it, but 2 slam finals, 2 losses. And I think that's
Justine
going to... Yeah, very much so, yeah. In 06, I think. I wonder how much that will be on her mind, because as of the past like, several years, she's someone who really, really wants to pick at the slams and perform her absolute best there. So I think she might not be the type of player to be like, well, I lost the slam finals, but overall, you know, I'm still the best. I'm still doing better than everyone. I'm playing better than them. Might actually be a bit tough, more so than like the loss itself. Just the fact that she has done so well this like first 6 months of the year, more or less. And she still is coming away without an extra slam title. I think that might be a bit tough.
Yeah, well, this one definitely seemed like the most heartbreaking slam final loss I think I've seen.
Really, more than USO?
I mean, I think so. I guess the US Open is comparable. Funny how both of them are to Coco. That's funny.
Here she cried during the trophy ceremony, which I felt that was tough to watch. You know, Sabalenka, she has had a lot of losing trophy ceremonies. You know, and usually that sounds like shade, but she's just made a bunch of medals. And usually she finds a way, you know, to laugh about it, to find something positive, to get something positive out of it. But here it was actually a bit dark, you know. She apologized to her team, and usually her go-to is, "Oh, haha, you did a terrible job. That's why I lost." Here she said, "I'm sorry." You know, that's out of character in many ways, and I think that goes to show how bad she felt in that moment, and that showed also as well maybe in that infamous press conference.
I really reckon you're right about the like complacency after the Iga match thing, you know, because I reckon the "I'm sorry" to her team was because maybe she didn't take it seriously enough this final. She in her head already had like a hand on the trophy because she's beaten Iga. Like, if I can beat Iga, no one is going to stop me, type thing. This theory makes sense. And then on Coco, I mean, she's made all 3 big clay finals. Managed to get the win in Roland Garros, which I think was probably good for her, so that didn't become a bit of a joke.
Yeah, no Safina stat for her, which is good.
And yeah, I mean, another kind of like her form seems to be very streaky, very, very much, oh, it's so over, oh, we're so back. I mean, there's always think pieces on how Coco needs to change this and that up because it's not going well right now, and she has back-to-back losses to Marta Kostyuk and Peyton Stearns or whoever, and then she just comes out of nowhere and can do this. Yeah, just a great competitor.
Definitely. And in the final, even her forehand was pretty good when I was watching it. Like it wasn't like Aryna was attacking it like all the time, but it was holding up so well, and she made many forehand winners, which I was kind of shocked to see.
It is a concern. I mean, people have been saying this for years, you know, when she gets this together, when she gets that together, when she gets the serve and the forehand, everything together, it's over for the tour. But really, if there is still stuff to improve, and if improvements are made, even if they're incremental over time, you know, she's already top 3 player on the WTA in like quite a competitive high level era. So could be scary.
Maybe the forehand will never be, like a flawless shot that, she can rely on every single match. Maybe that won't ever happen. But that's not the end of the world, Like, so many great players have, like, some sort of technical quirk or flaw. And as long as you can find a way around it, you'll be just fine. And that's what she keeps on proving every year, basically.
That's the thing, isn't it? She can hide her weaknesses and kind of back up everything around them so well. I mean, if she wasn't this otherworldly mover, you'd see it as much more of a problem. But she can kind of get in position to hit the shot that she wants to hit most of the time. And actually, the forehand, it's not really bad when it's being asked to defend. It's not that bad when it's being asked to defend.
Yeah, and also when she's like ready for that is going to be attacked, I think she gets used to it. When the tactic is quite clearly attack her forehand, I actually think she's fine most of the time. She knows what to do.
Good. So I guess we can move on to the actual important bit of the tournament, which was the post-match press conference. What happened there? I mean, I'm not getting involved.
Well, I think Sam has a lot of thoughts, so he can start.
So, there are, I think, 2 or 3 things that people have been pointing at. So, context, first of all, she came into press super quickly. So, that trophy ceremony, she's heartbroken, she's crying, whatever. She's into, I think, the press room like 5 minutes after.
So she's still in kit?
Yeah, she's still in kit. She hasn't literally done any recovery. She's off the court, into the press room. I actually think journalists hadn't even been warned. Like, she waited for some of them. She was ready to go. She was ready to say her piece and leave, like, soon. So that's the mindset she came into. I think that's good context. And so she decided to be, a bit too honest, I think is the kindest way to put it, where she said she was crushed and disappointed and was upset about the conditions, but also she went out of her way to say that the loss was mostly not as much to do with Gauff playing amazing and a lot more to do with her playing bad, which I think I would expect her to feel that way, honestly, but usually she doesn't say that, really. And then
you can't say it. Like, if tennis is all about this sportsmanship nonsense, even if it's so true and it's like the opponent has to literally just stand there. I mean, probably Sloane after the US Open final. I actually haven't seen the whole press conference, but I reckon she didn't say, or Keys the other way around, sorry, didn't say, I was awful, Sloane just had to stand there, I was hitting the back fence. You have to be polite and say what they want you to say. Sabalenka, yeah.
And so that was one big thing. And also she actually said even more. She said that she felt like, Gauff kept like eating out of the frame and like it came back in. And
did she? I didn't
say
that.
Oh yeah, she said that. Yeah. She said everything, And she said, I felt like someone out there was like testing me to with all of that. So that was something.
She
said
it was voodoo.
Yeah. No, she was just saying anything, honestly. And also she went out of her way to say that she thinks Siga would have won that final, which, again, maybe you think so. You don't say that. You just don't. There's like no need to say that. Like, why would you say that? I mean, because she was upset and like way too honest. Maybe she wanted even to lash out a bit.
Yeah, it's a particularly weird comment because it's like, ooh, Iga, 4-time defending champion, would have won this match. Like, you're not really saying much by saying that, so it feels like it's even more bitter. It's not a particularly good.
And no one asked her, No one was like, oh, well, do you think that would have been a weird question to begin with, but, no one asked her, oh, do you think he would have won? No, she said, unprovoked, oh, yeah, she would have won that match. And it's like, well, why would you say that, There's, like, no need for it whatsoever.
Very, very bizarre choice. And then what happened? What was the fallout?
Well, a shitstorm happened everywhere for Aryna. And I think it's blown out of proportion. Like, the only disrespectful comment I found was the Iga one. I don't think that was necessary to say. Obviously, like, as tennis sportsmanship book says. You need to like say, okay, my opponent played great and all. But I kind of love the honesty. I don't think we need to be like always so polite. Honestly, like obviously you can say it in different way, but and Coco did play great, but as she said, like why should she feel good about herself if she makes 70 unforced in a three-set match? Like that's something I agree with, even though she said it kind of in a bad way. And the Ia comment, I won't even speak on that because I think that was just wrong. But yeah, everything that happened after the Twitter comments from locals or like from people that do not watch tennis and just saw this press conference, which a lot of quotes were taken out of the context too. So like you obviously when you watch the whole press conference, it was bad, it wasn't good, but I don't know. Like Sam said, I've seen a lot of TikToks, which is crazy. I have seen a lot of posts with like 40K likes about Sabalenka being racist, about Sabalenka being all sorts of stuff, and that's a lot of it is just crazy to me. Like why? Like obviously I think the best thing Sabalenka could have done is to finish the match, go to the locker room, break the racket like she did in the US Open, and then she would be fine. Like she was just so emotional, but it's just Sabalenka is always emotional. She just didn't control it this time. So yeah, I think the cancellation of Aryna Sabalenka is the new topic of 2025.
Yeah, I didn't have her on my cancelled predictions list, but it's probably not super surprising because she's not that careful with what she says. Yeah, we needed another reaction video as well, so she really should have smashed that racket backstage and taken some time. But I don't know, you get the feeling she just wanted to be out there as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Probably she wanted to get out of the nation of France, which I don't blame her for. It's a shame that people have started accusing her of being racist, because we know there's always going to be complicated dynamics especially in a sport like tennis, with where black people have not always been especially welcome, and especially in like recent history, 20 years ago, less. Serena and Venus, just as one example, boycotted Indian Wells for all those years because of the racial abuse from the crowd. So we're not coming from this from a place of saying these dynamics do not exist in tennis and tennis is perfect and none of these players have any underlying, what do we call this,
Bigotry,
yeah, or anything, they are products. They didn't just fall out of a coconut tree. They're products of the whole of their society, etc. But I don't think it's fair in this instance to run on Twitter and say Sabalenka's a bitter racist who hates Coco Gauff because she's black and hates the fact that she beat her. It's Sabalenka.
Honestly, imagine if she did this against, for example, Buskova, who is another type of player that would make her 80 unforced errors. She would say the same. Like,
yeah.
I don't think it was like
any day.
Yeah.
I think it just has a lot to do with people like just not knowing tennis that well, and not knowing that honestly. Well, that whole conference was kind of crazy overall, but like the whole like, oh well, I just feel like I didn't play great, and people saying, oh, she didn't critique her opponent. That every single week, that discourse, that whole thing, we've seen it dozens and dozens of times. That
it makes the press conferences completely pointless if you want everyone to just come in and say, well done to my opponent. They're trying to ask you about the match, how you think everything went, blah, blah, blah. You're meant to say, to some extent, I wasn't very good today. There's obviously an important thing of being respectful, and especially like in a slam final. But they just want everyone to lie. They just want everyone to go, I was at my best, but I couldn't beat my opponent on the day. Like, what's the point in having press conferences? What's the point in asking them the questions if you don't want an answer that has any kind of honesty in it?
I remember Serena talked about it, I think, in some interview after she retired, and I think there was like, she said like, when I come to the press conference and I just beat my opponent 6-love, 6-love, and they asked me how I played, I'm not gonna say I played brilliantly. My opponent played horrible. So why would I go there and like say, "Oh, I played incredibly well. It was a tough match." No, it wasn't. Like she played bad, and that's why I won. So like, I think that's something that needs to be not needs to be changed, but should be changed. I don't think we should be so like, okay, like what happened? I played great, but it wasn't enough. I think it's pointless. Just like that, having press conferences like that.
There's like an obsession with sportsmanship that I think just goes too far. And in this instance, honestly, a lot of the backlash is in some ways deserved because she said way too much. She didn't need to say all that, the part about Iga, the part about the Shanks. First of all, that's not true, that's not what happened. And there's such a thing also as being too honest, which in this instance I think she was, but in a broader context, I do think people should be less sensitive to what people just said after a loss, that hurt them a lot as well.
Too honest and too heat of the moment honest, and too Aryna Sabalenka version of honest, which is quite the way she delivers her opinions can be quite direct, I think, and you can feel them. She doesn't go. She doesn't say it in a really roundabout way.
Yeah, no. But I think, the whole Iga comment, I think also informs what you said about maybe her feeling like that match was a hard bit, There's just something about Sabalenka and how she feels about Iga. She felt like she was chasing her for so long, and they played some epics, some of their best respective matches and all of that. So she's just on her mind a lot, especially at RG, and she felt like it was all leading up to it, and obviously when she didn't deliver, her mind, I think, went back to that match, and it's like, well, that's how it came out also in that press conference.
I wouldn't be surprised if in her mind that was the final, and she was kind of shocked she has to play another match.
Yeah, she's like, oh, no one told me. Give me the trophy now.
Too right. Notable thing about the women's tournament as a whole was the distinct lack of night matches. Big fat zero this year. And I think Ben Rothenberg has done a kind of count up of how many night matches in total have been women's matches. It was a very hot topic in press in week 1.5. I think that middle section where we started to get exciting women's matches, but we weren't getting any women's night matches. Or even for that matter, third on matches. So they were pretty much always the first two matches of the day on Chatrier, especially. A lot of the time it was empty crowds coming in starting those matches, and a lot of the time it was quite brief, or sometimes they were quite brief matches because you've put your star player against whoever it is they're playing in round 3, round 4. And this was just a huge kind of topic of discussion. Amelie Mauresmo was brought into press to talk about it. Lots of people have been discussing whether this is unfair, whether this is justified, whether we have to do something about it, whether we need to start rioting. What were your guys' thoughts on this scheduling issue? Should women's matches be given? Should they be given prime time? I mean, sounds like a stupid question. I'm sure we all have similar opinions on it. And how much attention should we pay to what time the players would like to play? Because we know Coco, for example, really likes playing first up, doing her thing, heading back, and that's her done for the day. And this is often used as an excuse for why we need to put the women's matches super early, because that's what the players say they want. But since when are we always listening to them, especially the women? We know tournaments don't always listen to them. What do you guys think on the scheduling bit? Honestly,
to me, the whole women's matches back to back first on, I think is probably an even bigger issue, and in my mind a bigger lack of respect, because there is one thing about this night session thing. The French Open night session is a disaster in and of itself. Women's matches, men's matches, it just doesn't really make sense. It's only one match. It's just not. Why would you have a session with only one match? The other slams that actually came up with the night session always have one women's match and one men's match, and it always works out in that way. So they had to come up with something because they wanted Amazon Prime to have something exclusive. That's why the night session exists to begin with.
Oh, also the extra money, because you get to sell a whole batch of tickets.
Yeah, so it's all about, making more cash out of the tournament. But you just have a middling at best product in those night sessions. No one actually wants to play them. That's the thing, women don't want to play them. The men, I think, also have to be kind of forced to do it. I can't name a player who has said, "Oh, I really like and want to play night session matches." Maybe Rune, Rune, I think, would ask for it and be fine with it. But I don't think Alcaraz, Sinner, or Djokovic, the big name on the men's side, are all that keen to play night matches at RG either, because it's just not really well designed. But beyond that, it's such a big thing with women's tennis and honestly French culture, it feels like. Because of course the women's matches aren't being given the treatment they deserve, flat out. The crowd and the people also just seem to treat it as something secondary, of course it's not going to help to have big crowds in if you only put women's matches first on, but also unfortunately, it goes to show that quite a few people really just kind of show up whenever they want. It's oh, well, it's a women's match, maybe I'll watch for 20 minutes, and but it's fine, I'll have a men's match later on. Honestly, that's how a lot of these people think. And that goes way beyond the scheduling, and it's, I think, a genuine, cultural issue with the way women's athletes and women's tennis players are, considered and treated in this country.
And it's up to you to get on and start changing that. Come on.
Up to me or up to RG?
Yeah, up to you. Well,
I'm trying my best.
Are you?
Yeah.
You're a champion of equality. You're an ally.
Of course.
The biggest disappointment I found of this whole thing, because it's been going on for a while, that the women aren't given the good time slots, and they're definitely not given the night sessions. And it's always because, oh, well, what if it's only 37 minutes long and Iga beats Potapova 6-1, 6-love? They always get to fall back on this excuse. We watched Tommy Paul play for 8 minutes against Alcaraz and all this kind of other nonsense. We watched short matches. The thing I find disappointing is the way on the whole, the WTA players were reacting to this, the way they were about this. And aside from Ons Jabeur, who wrote actually an amazing essay little thing that she posted on Twitter, which I'm pretty sure wasn't AI, because there were some kind of idiosyncrasies in there, which I loved that for. It wasn't flawlessly written with all the M dashes and stuff, which for a tennis player is already quite impressive. Everyone else was pretty much well, I like playing in the morning. Oh, I don't want to go, oh, I don't want to play at night. I don't really care if people are there, blah, blah, blah. Where is your championing women's tennis? It just kind of drives me crazy, because I just want to, if I were them, I'd be yeah, we play fucking awesome sport, and the narratives are great, and the rivalries are great, and we all deserve to have everyone watching us and able to watch us, and we want to inspire these people and these young girls, etc., etc. And instead they're well, whatever works best for my game, if I play at this time, I have time to go for lunch and then hit again. I really dislike this sort of self-centered pro athlete thing, and I know I've interacted with a lot of pro athletes or soon to be pro athletes, and I recognize that this is a trait that helps you be better as a pro athlete, thinking about what's best for me, how do I minimize the things I don't want to do, and how do I maximize the things I do want to do, and always put myself and my training first. I understand that this is a huge thing, and it does make you better, but I just wish that, as the place that they are, which is still the forefront of women's sport, only just the forefront of women's sport, all the other sports are catching up. I wish that they recognised that and were more passionate about fighting for that and saying, yeah, you know what, I don't want to play at night, but if it's marketed as the big session, if it's marketed as the most important match, I want to fucking be there. We deserve to be there. All the women deserve to be there. I wish it were just a bit more like that, even if you personally don't want to play at night time. That's my my thing on it that I think I understand people kind of, as the tournament went on, made slightly better statements in that regard. And I don't know where that came from, whether they were kind of told to or what it was, but I just wish they cared a bit more and they were proud of what they produce.
I just find this issue like avoidable very easily by making, the night session start earlier at 7 p.m. Have 2 matches, 1 man, 1 women, and it's like no one can discuss about anything. Women has to play 1 evening match. My biggest issue was that, for example, Sabalenka Chinwan was starting at 11 a.m. Like you have world number 1 against the Olympic champion, and they're starting at 11 a.m. Like, and I think it was even during a weekday, that it wasn't weekend. So
On Tuesday, yeah.
yeah, so it was like that was horrible scheduling in my opinion. And then I remember that Amazon Prime was requesting the Pegula Boisson match for the evening, and the Roland Garros denied it. I don't know why. And I think the evening match in that day was Alcaraz Paul, which I think that was the match that was that day. But I'm not sure because I'm not 100% sure.
I think Tommy Paul Alcaraz was the day before Pegula Boisson.
No,
maybe.
that didn't work
no?
because that's the fourth
Okay.
round and Alcaraz Paul was a quarterfinal.
Right. You're right.
I think
Yeah.
the match that day was like Sinner Rublev.
That was really long too. Yeah. Okay.
So many shitty beatdowns. I mean, that was egregious when that was because Amelie Mauresmo got impressed and kept saying, I'm not going to do a French accent. I had to hold myself back because I nearly automatically did it. Sorry. Now laughing at it in my head. She said, this is what Amazon Prime requested. They request this match, so we have to do what they tell us. Blah blah blah. They want this amount of time of tennis, and then this kind of story comes out that they'd asked for Pegula Boisson, and Roland Garros were like, no, those are women. They don't play then.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like she was the last French player in the draw. Like why would she not deserve to have a night session? It's just like this. This made me angry when I read that. And yeah, I just don't understand the whole night session as a whole in like there. I don't know why the start is so late. I heard somewhere that it's because French people finish work late, so they need to have time to move to the stadium. But I don't know if that's true.
It's because they eat their 6-hour-long dinner.
Okay.
Sam, what is it?
I couldn't tell you. That's the excuse she goes for, but like there are still people in the stands like watching other matches at 7 p.m. So what's up? I mean, I guess the target like audience for night session probably is people who do work during the day, so they would want to go at night to watch the only thing they can watch. But I mean, you have to try something at this point. And she seemed really annoyed in that press conference, and it's like, well, you ask me about it every year, but like you don't do anything, and it's still a problem. Like it's wild.
Never known a woman female tennis player who seems to rate women's tennis so low. And I think she is being put forward as the face of it, where actually she probably doesn't have that much power. Like she couldn't just suddenly say, actually we're going to change night sessions to this, we're going to do women on here, we're going to blah blah blah. She doesn't have that much power, but still you wish that she wouldn't just be the mouthpiece for all the opinions. What time do people finish work in France?
I mean, depends, but like a standard work day is like I think like most parts of the world it's a 9 to 5 or like 10 to 6 or that's range. So but maybe it's also a thing about people leaving work and taking some time to have dinner or whatever, but that doesn't really matter. Like if it was only just about people's work days, why would you even have like tennis during the day? Most people work during the day. It doesn't makes that much sense. And
yeah, this is an excuse.
Yeah, I think so. Anyways, she probably actually had the worst press conference of the tournament. Somehow did worse than Sabalenka, which
yeah, we need to get the semiotic theorists on the Amelie Mauresmo press conference and see what they have to say about that.
Yeah.
That I have a solution for a lot of these issues as well, but we'll come on to it later, I think, because I think that's about it for the women's tournament, right? overall, what would you rate? What would you rate the women's Roland Garros this year?
8 out of 10. I would rate it 8 out of 10.
I think an 8 is fine. Yeah, makes sense.
8. Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was really, really great at times, but then I didn't watch the final. No, I thought it was really great. I think I personally lost players I really liked quite early on. In a way that the last 2 Roland Garros, my favourite players have been the second best player in the tournament. So yeah, quite the fall from grace as they lost to Paula Badosa and Alicia Parks. Onto the men's tournament, which was. They are so bloody lucky, the men, because they can it's just shit and shit and shit and shit, and then you can just rely on 2 generational talents to play one of the best matches you've ever played in the final match, and everyone gets to go, wow, what a tournament, 10 out of 10. And actually, we were sitting through, the semi-finals, the quarterfinal. The only notable quarterfinal realistically was the Zverev-Djokovic match. Thoughts on that?
I had fun, I enjoyed it. The way it's just so funny, It's actually at first I was a bit worried about Djokovic because I thought he seemed like quite slow and quite flat, and Zverev actually was playing well, really going after it. And then they played the second set. I think Zverev missed a bit too much and got broken early. And then he lost the match in that moment, 1 hour and 10 minutes in. And from then, Djokovic just could do whatever he wanted on that court, hit 5,000 drop shots. Zverev got to all of them, didn't do anything with any of them. And that was the match, pretty much.
Yeah, the drop shotting was so bizarre because it wasn't working. It wasn't being impactful, but it didn't matter. Just the way he was toying with Zverev was really shocking, and I mean he has gotten worse. Not Djokovic. I mean Djokovic has obviously gotten worse because he's 155 years old, but Zverev has gotten worse because millions of people around the world told me he was winning that Nadal match.
I still don't get it now, how they think that he was winning that.
No,
match.
of course not. He was a set down.
Yeah.
And also he should have won that first set, and he still lost it. So they think he was somehow going to play even better and be even clutcher against Nadal and come from a set down to win. Regardless, though, he was better in that match than he was here. He's gotten further away from Djokovic as Djokovic has gotten older, and he's gotten closer to his prime. Really just a shocking athlete, a shockingly bad athlete.
I mean, to be fair to say, he had quite a favourable draw into the quarters, so,
Yeah, walkover, right? Somewhere?
Yeah, walkover over Kaboli.
He won a walkover over Kaboli?
No.
Okay.
Kaboli was just bad.
I was going to say Kaboli lost. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he lost in straight sets, so it might as well have been a walkover. Who was his actual walkover?
Griekspoor. I mean, they played a set and then Griekspoor died.
No, but that is an interesting match. We've talked about it way too many times for some reason. Yeah, he had a favourable draw. He made it to the quarterfinals, and he did absolutely fuck all. Djokovic, though, kind of showed signs of something there. I
mean, if anything, he showed great, tactical acumen. I think just spamming drop shots whenever the rally got long was actually quite good because it was both a bailout in the sense that he probably couldn't play that many super long rallies, but also a bail-in because actually it was a super viable tactic because Zverev just got beat every single time, made the shot back in and then Djokovic would pass or would make him hit on a volley that he would miss. It all worked out perfectly in that way. And I think he probably would have wanted to do more of that in the semis, but not the same opponents. Not that easy in many ways.
I mean, this might be crazy to say, but I find Djokovic at this stage quite underrated because he's still one heck of a player. He's still playing amazing tennis, but people are kind of he's so old, he won't win anything again. But it's just, I mean, the Zverev match and even the Sinner match, I was amazed by how well he was playing. In the Zverev match, he was clutch in some moments. In the Sinner match, he wasn't. So obviously, a tough opponent, much tougher opponent. But yeah, the Zverev match was is such a masterclass. Like he was playing so well, and I think people still like even at Roland Garros. I don't know if he's ever gonna come back, because we will get to the later like how he was waving goodbye. But even there, he was a contender, and I don't think people were considering him that much of a contender before the tournament.
Well, we have a method of checking that, don't we? Some people did their little power rankings and they put Francisco Cerundolo and all kind of others above.
He was above Cerundolo, for the record.
Okay, good. He made it there. Yeah, I agree. A masterclass, I think, is the right word for it. Like, he just knew how to beat him. You know what I kind of noticed, particularly in this match, we always talk about how he figures out the game tactically. And he figures out, throughout the course of a match, he grows into it and understands what to do to beat the opponent on the day. I also realise he does this mentally as well. Like, he figures out how to combat whatever they want the energy of the match to be and make it on his own terms, to get inside their heads. And I think he he shows this time and time again. It's less obvious than seeing his kind of tactical adjustments and his the shot choice and how he plays his rallies, etc. But I think he can really mess people up. I mean, I was thinking about how I think he's made Alcaraz cry twice in finals, right? I think Alcaraz cried after the Cincinnati final, and he definitely cried after the US Open, not US Open, Olympics final, yeah. I'm looking ahead. And this guy, we know what Alcaraz is, and we'll talk about that. But how does he do it? Like, how does he screw people up like that?
I mean, at this stage, he's not the best athlete anymore, clearly. But he is probably the smartest and the most savvy player in so many ways. The way he has compensated for that loss of speed, basically, by just throwing everything he has in his very, very, very large arsenal at people. It's still super impressive, yeah.
Agreed. He then he then went on to play Sinner in the semi-final, which was, I would say, a better performance than a lot of people were expecting. Is that fair?
Yeah, and just great quality, That's probably the second best match of the men's tournament, honestly, quality-wise, I would say.
Yeah, I was watching it with my mom, and I can tell you that she isn't very much of a Djokovic fan, but she was astounded by the level Novak was showing there, and she was rooting for him so much.
Really?
Yeah, she was, because
she's another Sinner hater.
No, she at the end she acknowledged Sinner is very good, and she was like, okay, he seems nice and all, but like she just was like so astounded by the level he was showing him. Like at the 38 years old, she was like, wow, he's so good. Like, come on, Novak, win the set. And we were watching it together, and Novak was playing so well. And yeah, as I said, he was just unclutched in those moments. Like in 2 set points, I think maybe even in the second league, he like broke back, because I think Jannik was like 5-2 and it was 5-all. And he had chance to go 6-5. I honestly don't remember if he made errors or if Jannik was playing great. But it was such a good match. Definitely, like one of the best, maybe best straight sets win of Jannik's career, because like he had to play very well.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Can't say I've watched like all of his straight sets wins. Definitely. There've been a lot of them, but yeah, I agree. And he really brought it in the big moments. I think coming into the match and at some point throughout the match as well, he hadn't broken Jannik in very many consecutive service games, right? He hadn't broken him, or he hadn't even created a break point, potentially.
No break point in like 6 or 7 sets.
Yeah, so that was the final in, I always say Beijing when I'm talking about any China tournament, but it wasn't, was it?
It's Shanghai.
The final in Shanghai, and that Australian Open semi-final last year as well. So I think this was in his head, and it's amazing because it's not often that things are in Djokovic's head. It's the Djokovic smash, it's the concept of representing Serbia, and it's the concept of creating a breakpoint opportunity against Jannik Sinner. Those are the 3 things that have affected him.
No, it was so clear. Like, he would like start playing like great in return games, and he would go up like love 30, and she would start missing for no reason. Honestly, I was kind of laughing. I was like, it's in his head. He's thinking about the stat. There's no way. It was kind of crazy, actually.
Do you think he has opt-to-ace notifications on his phone?
I mean, he must have, He's the best player in history, and he's getting rattled by random Twitter stats.
Such a stupid stat as well. It's like,
yeah.
Who cares? Yeah. And he eventually created the breakpoint opportunity. It took a breakpoint opportunity, and it felt like something big.
It felt like he was living off the crowd support because, as he said, that was like one of the biggest crowd supports he ever got. So it felt like at that moment when he broke, they were just ecstatic, everyone in the arena. Well, then he got broken again, so they weren't ecstatic, but, it felt like the crowd support really helped him to get on better level, which is crazy because we know with Novak that he gets better when they are booing him, but here he got better when they were cheering for him, so that was nice.
He finally got the pity cheers.
Almost, yeah. No, I mean, this match was interesting in the sense that Djokovic got out Djokovic in some ways, outclashed, out-solided, Jannik was just...
Hold on, that's out Pagulad.
Oh, yeah. That's another good way to put it. Are you equating Djokovic and Pegula? You did that, not me. Anyways.
So you're saying the crowd went so inconsistent for him?
They did. They did.
Yeah, no. It was interesting in that way, I felt, I think Djokovic basically midway, I think, in the second set just started, like, going for it, kind of like, was it Australian Open, like 23 final, when he was kind of like injured and he was just hitting every forehand at like 150 kilometers. He basically started doing that, just maximize his offense literally as much as he could from the baseline and just threw the kitchen sink at Sinner and didn't quite work out, got close, but Sinner just had like the steadier offense. He just didn't have to play at like 100% to generate power and create offense because Novak is just not defending the way he used to before. So that's how it ended up.
Yeah, Jannik was amazingly clutch. It's so interesting because... Okay, so I noticed this a while ago that Jannik had saved match points to beat Djokovic. He did that in the Davis Cup. Djokovic had saved match points to beat Alcaraz. He did that in Cincinnati. And Alcaraz had saved match points to beat Jannik. He did that in the US Open and then again. But it's on the larger scale of their matchups as well. It feels like Djokovic can bring the clutch against Alcaraz. Alcaraz can bring the clutch against Jannik, and Jannik can bring the clutch against Djokovic. But for some reason, the way that Djokovic brings his clutch against Alcaraz, he struggles to against Jannik. He just kind of... It's like the sort of non-transitive triangle of clutchness where, yeah, Jannik was just so impressive. I've never seen Novak so outplayed in the big points as that, I don't think. Or so out-big pointed. I felt hopeful after that match, to be honest.
It's interesting because the level on display is still like super high, but you start just worrying about the competition, It's like, do you for him, do you have to hope that Sinner like won't be there or like won't be playing well? That at the moment that feels like a really long shot, that's just not something that really happens anymore. And even then, if he for some reason, I don't know, Sinner is injured or something,
or something.
Do you or gets banned again, I don't know. Anyways, do you like back him to beat like I don't know, like Zverev into Alcaraz like all the time? That seems like still like pretty tall ask in most slams,
Yeah, not all the time. I think my take on it was that based on that, I think Djokovic could win a slam where he doesn't have to play both Jannik and Alcaraz. For some reason or another, maybe Carlos loses to Botic van der Zandschulp, whatever it is, he doesn't have to play both of them. That's not enough, he didn't beat Jannik, he didn't win a set against Jannik, so he'd need more than that. He'd need either a bad Jannik level, an excellent Djokovic level, he'd need it to be in a final. He'd need another thing there. The motivation that he found in the Olympics, for some reason, if he were going for some other record. So I think it's at the stage where like it's still worth you continuing playing, because also we don't know, there could be a slam in the relatively near future where both of those guys flop early for some reason. Hard to see why, but you know, of the field, he is still easily the favourite. Like, I would be really shocked if he were put in a position where he didn't have to play either of them and he lost to someone else. Like, yeah, in a slam, that is.
I mean, I think he has a huge chance still at Wimbledon this year, even though he lost to Carlos 2 times. I just still think he has a huge chance, because even though Jannik should be very good on grass, I think on grass you need to have a lot of experience, and maybe Jannik still, will try to figure out grass, even though he was in Wimbledon quarters, I think, or was he there?
Yeah, he has made semis and quarters.
Did he make semis? Oh wow!
The semis was the scam. Do you not remember? He played like Francisco Comisana in round 4, or something like that. Do you not remember? Because this was his first Grand Slam semi, and everyone was saying...
I remember. And that was the same year he made the...
he won
Masters.
His first 1,000.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Against Alex de Minaur, and everyone was like, this fraud's going to have a fraudulent career. And then he just...
Well, then maybe my take is like flawed, because if he made semis, maybe he has a lot of experience. But like, if he faces Djokovic there, I would favor Djokovic more than like on clay. It's still grass. Obviously, I don't think. But I think maybe like I value Novak's game, so I can say maybe he can beat Sinner Alcaraz back to back at Wimbledon. But that would be I think that would be incredible.
My thing about Djokovic on grass is the thing that has fallen off the most, I find, is his ability to return big first serves. And that's a bigger deal on grass, That used to be his edge over the field. Like, someone is going to make like a huge first serve on tie break on like a break point, and he would get it back always, and that would give him that big edge over the field. I think he has lost some of that, honestly.
Yeah, of course.
And that might show, honestly, against Sinner or maybe even against someone else.
This is the big thing that you could notice, like with age, your reaction time goes down. I think even that fraction that it's gone down has affected his return. Other things probably as well, but I think that is a really big thing that kind of comes with as you get older. I know what you mean, and I agree on the whole, but really the last week of Roland Garros, I was pretty impressed by his returning. I thought he got better, and especially like within the match he got better, which he usually does as well. He gets better at returning the serve of his opponent throughout the course of playing his opponent. But I was less concerned about the fall off of the return at the end of the tournament than I was at the beginning, by some margin. So yeah,
on clay, it's just that whole like return serve return dynamics. I mean, maybe we'll talk about it during the final. That's just less of a factor in general, because the clay slows the serve down. So it will be interesting to see how he returns on grass for sure.
On the plus side, I think his movement I find it to be worse, like by some margin. Like he's grunting every time he moves his feet now. And
he does the old man grunt.
Yeah, he does the old man grunt that makes you feel, someone take him out of his misery. It's like just running to a ball. There's less of that on grass, and I think Basher Djokovic is a bloody good player, and if he could say, I'm going to start bashing a bit more and acknowledge that his movement on grass, it doesn't have to be as good for him to win matches. We'll see. I don't know. We don't know how Wimbledon's playing this year. Maybe it's going to be...
And even his serve is extremely underrated, because like no one ever talks about Djokovic having a good serve, but...
This is one of Sam's pet peeves, is that... This is one of Sam's pet peeves, is that everyone always says, Djokovic's serve is underrated. No one ever talks about how his serve is really good. And actually, they talk about it so much that...
For like at least 6 years, it's like, oh, no one talks about Djokovic's serve. Well, if you say that for 6 years, that's not true anymore.
Yeah, I do agree with you. Since you said that, now when I watch his matches, usually once a match, the commentators will say, his serve is so underrated because he's got it so good in the last few years, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it's actually a huge weapon on grass. If he's hitting it well, and he's hitting his spots.
That's what he's best at, really. He's just really precise.
Solid and consistent. The other semi-final, Lorenzo Musetti lived up to his nickname. against Alcaraz. And
It's for a fourth setter. It's actually quite a big dud, honestly.
yeah, it was shocking. I mean, no, well, one of the sets was a bagel, and Lorenzo had pretty much already retired.
Oh yeah. No, he was. It was competitive for the first like 2 sets until like I think 4-all until like Alcaraz started playing like way better because he realized, oh well, maybe I don't want to go 2 sets down to Musetti for no reason before a big final. So he realized that, and then the match kind of just, like ended almost instantly. It was actually kind of sad, because Musetti was getting a lot of hype deservedly because like, well, he did so well. He one of the first men to reach the semis at every big club event. That's great. He's playing great. He had this draws that honestly was kind of set up for him to make the semis, and he didn't really falter at any point. All of that super impressive. But he goes up against Alcaraz, and it's like the gap is actually very large, like kind of obscenely so. And yeah, that's third set game, and he could have played on in the fourth. I don't think it would have mattered all that much. It was over.
Yeah. Good for Musetti. I mean, I don't know what he's going to do with it, but like, impressive for him to kind of keep going, keep being consistent in these natural surfaces tournaments and the clay tournaments especially.
Yeah, he kind of might be the fourth best player on natural surfaces right now, I guess. Like.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I'd hope to see him win a grass title. He doesn't have one, does he?
I don't remember him winning it. Maybe in Mallorca or something, but I don't know.
No, it's always someone weird who wins in Mallorca. This year, it's who did we say it was? Davidovich Fokina? Didn't we say he was going to win again in Mallorca?
Oh yeah, we said he would. Yeah. Okay, I'm fingers crossed. I had forgotten about that.
Yeah, so good for Musetti, but far from the best. The best who played in the final, and we had 5 hours and 29 minutes of the best 2 players in the world, Carlos Alcaraz, Jannik Sinner. Alcaraz from 2 sets down, 2 sets to love down. Alcaraz from 3 championship points down. What to say? Who wants to go first before this goes into a full-blown argument?
Well, I guess I start before you two start arguing. I mean, it was an amazing match, no denying it. The last 3 sets, even the second, were pretty good. When I started watching it, the first set and a half, I just didn't understand the hype. Like, I just thought it wasn't that great. I think Carlitos wasn't playing that well. I think even Jannik wasn't playing that well. He was making a lot of errors. It was clearly nervous from both. But then when I think Carlitos broke back in a second, it just started totally differently. Like, it was a new match, and I found it very impressive, like how Jannik was able to win the second set, because I thought he was gonna lose. When Carlitos broke back, I thought, okay, so he's gonna win the second set. He didn't, and then I think Jannik had a break in the third, right? And Carlitos starting to come back, and he was just, I don't know, I think like Alcaraz just starting to play much better and more tactically better. Like he was, I noticed he played more loopy balls because he was trying to out hit Jannik in the first 2. Then he was playing more loopy balls. There weren't a lot of drop shots till the end of the match. Like, I don't think he played that many drop shots in the first 3 sets. So that was pretty interesting to see. And then, Jannik in the first set started to play incredibly well. I think that was, till that 5-3, that was his best tennis of the tournament. Like, he was playing absolutely insane. The consistent power hitting, I don't think I've ever seen something like this. Like, I was just shocked by his level. Like, it was just so good. And I thought, like, okay, there's nothing like Alcaraz can do. Surely he can turn this around. And then it was La 40, and that was the first time, I think, in a long time that I saw Jannik kind of like pooped his pants. Because the first match point, I rewatched it yesterday after the final. I rewatched these 3 points, and the first point he was still playing kind of well, but Carlitos made a great defense. I think there was like 2 balls on the line, and he somehow got it back. But then the return on a second, it was clearly like a nervous return. He missed it by miles. And then the third, I don't even remember, but it was some error too, I think. And yeah, I still didn't believe that Yannick would be that type of player to choke. Like in the first set, I thought, okay, so he wasted 3 championship points. Now he's coming to serve and he will serve it out. But he didn't. And I think that was a pretty like, well done by Charlie in that game, how he played it tactically, that game. But yeah, even I think Yannick made some errors, but they were like easy errors. It was from rallies. And then the tiebreak was pretty good from Carlos. And then the fifth set, that was just like madness. Like that was just madness. I couldn't believe what I'm seeing. I didn't see the Federer Rafa match, the Wimbledon one. I didn't see it. So, and I've seen some the bits of Novak and Rafa in Australian Open 2012, but I didn't watch it in full because like who has 6 hours in their time in a day, you know? But this was like the first.
Well, all of us apparently.
Right, but this was, yeah, it was amazing, and it was amazing. It was amazing how Yannick fought in the fifth set, because after Charlie broke, I thought it's done. Even Sam was saying it's over. He was saying it's over all the time, but then he broke back. Then he broke back, and I remember saying that if Yannick keeps it close, he can still break back. And Sam was saying, no, it's over, it's over. And he was right at the end. It was over. But yeah, Yannick just that drop shot he ran to 15-30, that was amazing. Like he looked so gassed, and then he made this. It was amazing. But then the tiebreak, that was just probably one of the highest levels of Alcaraz's career. I think just like in Beijing, these two tiebreaks I think are pretty comparable, because like in Beijing and here, he was just unplayable in a tiebreak. Like nothing Yannick could do. And yeah, I think it was pretty deserved victory, but it would be deserved victory for for both of them. They both deserve to win, and I hated to see someone lose, and I hated to see Yannick's mom cry, because like that girl, that woman looks so, she looked so in pain, and she was just going through it. I wanted to hug her. She was the real loser for me in that from that match. Yeah, so incredible match. What do you think, Sam?
No, I mean, I agree with basically that summary. I think that's a very accurate summary of all of it. Basically, if you had to like explain how that match was turned around, because obviously that's a big story, how did that happen?
Here's where the argument's going to start.
I don't think it will. I think from beginning of the match until that middle end part of the fourth set, I think this was the match Jannik wanted to play. It felt like it was being played on his terms. Basically, for me, if I had to like sum it up tactically, what they both want to do, how they both like want to approach this match, I think Jannik wants it to be about mainly the serve return dynamics, because when you look at the games, especially on clay, what does he actually do better? Has probably a better backhand overall, more sturdy, more easier time generating power from it. And what else does he have? He has a better first serve, I think, overall, more powerful, more dangerous, basically. And the returning, I think he's probably the more consistent returner, and he can also be very aggressive on it. So he wants the match to be defined by these things, by what he does better than Carlos. And what Carlos does better is he has a better forehand on clay, and he's a better athlete, a better, shot maker, better scrapping, all of that. So until that point, basically, it felt like that was the match Jannik wanted to play, and when he got into that position, it was like, that's it, It all went the way he would have wanted. And when that moment came, I think he could have really taken it then and there, but he didn't. Miss some shots. I think Alcaraz actually was very. He always seems like he wants to hit winners on like super big points, but actually I think he was really smart to just not miss. I don't think he missed at all for that whole game after the match points, and then in the game later on to break. I think he actually didn't miss at all. Was really wanted to rally to make balls back, and I think Jannik did crack in that moment, and I think he saw that this was his chance, and if he did not take them, he might actually not get any more, and that's kind of how it played out. So, and then actually from that moment on, that match became what Carlos would have wanted, which is all about, athleticism and like crazy points and long rallies when he can like just get the most out of his game on clay. And so that came at the end, and that was enough. He won. And honestly, even when the like final set tiebreak came, I mean, I was amazed by the level on display in that tiebreak, but also it all the way just felt like this had become the match he wanted, and the match was being played on his terms, and so it just made sense for him to win in that moment.
Yeah, the start of the match was it was interesting because I agree with Marty. I was watching it and I was like, it's long, but it's not really good, and they're in each other's service games a lot because they were really locked in on return. They were really trying to get in to each other's service games and create as many opportunities as possible, but they were just kind of being kind of scrappy when they had their chances, and it felt like Carlos was slightly better for the majority of the set, and he probably should have won it. And then this was the first set, right? He played absolute awful game to get broken, just like for no reason, just errors. And you think like, this is a weird performance in a slam final, and this isn't Demir Juma. You can't give free sets away. And it felt like not an entirely free set, but it was a cheap set. And then in the second, it looked like, oh yeah, he's wrestling control a little bit, and then he still loses it. He came back. Jannik served for the set, right? And he came back.
Yeah, he did.
Took it to a tie break, and at that point, you think, okay, it's the comeback. Jannik stayed in it, won the set. And I mean, okay, I have to be honest, and I don't think anyone's ever going to believe me, because I couldn't watch this match live, but I had a vision in my head. I had a vision that this was going to be one of the best matches ever, and that Alcaraz.
That's so Raven.
And That's so
Raven.
Yeah, it was so Raven. I was writing the headline in my head. Alcaraz wins greatest match ever from two sets to love down, saving match points. I had this vision for some reason. No one's ever going to believe me. You're going to think I'm a kook, but really. And so I avoided looking at any of the scores and stuff because my vision had told me this was a great match. You're going to want to properly experience it. To the extent that we were on the way home, we were driving in the car. My parents were listening to the radio, and they started this announcement. In tennis, and I covered my ears and said, no, turn off. And I think at that point they were still playing the match. I had no idea, but they were still playing the match because it would have been only 3 hours in or so. Anyway, I then watched the whole thing with clear eyes, and I just had this faith in Alcaraz throughout the match. I just thought, I think he really wants this, because I think he really cares when he plays Jannik. Bit of it's because he's in love with him, but a lot of it's because it's his main rival. It's a very important matchup for him. He really cares about this match. You can see he always shows up and tries to play his best, at least for the last 2 years, and he really wants to win this trophy. I mean, it's a slam it's a slam, and it would be his first of the year, right? So it's, yeah, I just felt it. And I had this calmness, even when he was 2 sets to love down. I was like, I can't believe he's going to win this match. In a way that, like, I felt that he was going to win the match, but I couldn't believe he was going to win the match. And the only time that faltered a little bit was when he went those 3 championship points down, because he played 3 bad points to get to that place, I think. Obviously, Jannik throughout was playing really great, but one of them was a double fault to go down championship point.
Yeah, to love 30, I think that was a double fault.
So, like, at this point, you think there's no way he could change the direction of this fate now, because you can't go from playing that loosely and pretending that this isn't important to you to suddenly playing so well that you can save all those match points. But then when he'd done it, I just thought, that's that. We people talked about it in the Muchova-Sabalenka match semi-final 2 years ago, that Sabalenka had match points. She was up a break and she had match points on Muchova's serve, and that if sometimes you don't want that, because you miss out on those opportunities and then you've already felt the disappointment and you're kind of it's still in your head when you go to serve it out. And Jannik clearly had it still in his head, because I think Alcaraz was really good in the match point saves. He hit crazy deep, like to the extent where I thought his shots had gone out. High looping forehands landing on the baseline. But then the game where Jannik tried to serve it out was really bad from him, and was feeling the disappointment, I felt. And then, yeah, it just kind of built up from there. I feel like every game, every twist and turn was kind of higher energy, higher importance, higher electricity, higher level as well, all the way to the crescendoing final set tiebreak, where Alcaraz played an outrageous game to not get broken at, I think it was 5-6. Jannik was really back, like playing really, really high level. There was like a kind of half volley forehand that he chipped back into play, which I think was actually an important point, because it would have set up, he would have gone 30 down, something like that. It was an important point, and he just pure reactions, flicked it, got it back in, and Jannik couldn't really believe what he was seeing. I don't think Carlos could believe what he was seeing. Both of them were just like playing out of their minds until that tiebreak was just like, maybe 3 points in, it felt like kind of decided, and it felt a bit like a victory lap, I think. But we also couldn't count anything out, because we'd seen the match before. We'd seen Carlos break early in the third set and look like that was that. We'd seen Jannik's miraculous not third set, fifth set. I'm talking about women's tennis in the final set. Jannik's comeback in the fifth set, which I think was maybe his high point of the match, because everyone had just thought, that's that. He's had the disappointment. He's exhausted. He can't win matches over 3 hours 50. But he really made Alcaraz earn it. And the level, the level that Alcaraz played, it was just. It felt like, you know what I always say, what would it look like if you gave a tennis player a line of Coke before they played tennis? I feel like Alcaraz, the last 15 points of the match, looked like he'd just had a line of Coke, and he couldn't feel any part of his body, and he was just doing, or based on instinct, based on wherever he was. That drive volley forehand he hit off, he'd given Sinner a drop shot. Sinner had got the drop shot back, right? And Alcaraz just went full pelt at a drive volley, and it was like, calm down.
She was in the zone,
Yeah, he was in the zone. It was as much in the zone as you can ever be. Sam was crashing out. Carlos was locked in.
Perfect Sunday.
Yeah. It was extraordinary. And I thought, throughout the match, I had such a strong feeling that he'd do it, that he'd win, and that he'd win from no matter what position you put him in. But it doesn't make it any less amazing that he actually did it. Because what are you thinking? Like, it's not even down championship points in the fifth set, where all you have to do is save them and then win that set. He had to save them and then win this set and then win the next set as well. Like, I'm sorry, I really fell back in love with the Alcaraz experience in this match, because it was so incredible, and one of the most clutch performances I've ever seen, one of the most remarkable comebacks I've ever seen, if not the most remarkable comeback I've ever seen.
What was very impressive was that he came back, he had to break in the fifth, and then he didn't serve it out, so he had to reset again, and then he showed the best level he showed in the match. That was just I think he made some crazy shot at 30-all at 6-5 when Jannik hit a crazy return, and there was just I don't even know if it was a half volley or if it was I don't even know what that was. I just don't understand how he.
It was like a squash shot, kind of.
And that's 30-all, 6-5 in the fifth. That's just insane. And after that he was just unplayable. As much as Jannik was unplayable in the fourth, he was unplayable there. So.
And it was very much no, fuck you. I'm taking this. I'm having this. I want this match. I will get this match, and I will go do whatever it means, do whatever it takes to get it. By the time he'd gotten himself to that point, I think if Jannik hadn't given him opportunities, he wouldn't have showed that incredible fight. But I think he's now I'm already in a fifth set. Now I'm already deep in a fifth set. I'm kind of invested now, and I'm ready to play this electric, hyper Alcaraz level. How do you weigh up choke versus comeback? Actually, you can do it for the Sabalenka Gauff match. You can do it for this match as well. What percentage choke versus what percentage comeback?
That's kind of an easy answer. No, I mean, I think it's like maybe like 40% joke and like 60% comeback. But it's not that. It feels kind of weird to divide it in that way. I mean, yeah, it's like Sinner could have won it, and in that way, I do think that match was in his control and within reach, but he faltered a little bit, and Carlos was super solid in that moment. But then the quality of the comeback and the level of tennis recovery to actually make that comeback happen, there's nothing like it, that's probably the highest level I've ever seen in that tiebreak and the end of that fifth set. And it's probably actually the best match I've seen live, honestly. Yeah.
I would probably call it a choke if Jannik lost the fifth set 1-6 or love 6. Then it would be probably choke, definitely.
Take that, ego.
Yeah, no, that would have been actually kind of devastating in many ways, because then the narrative is basically just, oh yeah, he just blew it and that's it.
And also, it would be the way he performed says so much about him as a guy and looking forward to his future. I think loads of people were really, really impressed by that performance, that way that he just went, okay, absolute horrific disappointment, but I'm still here. And he stayed in that match and he fought back and had his own little comebacks as well. That I didn't expect from him, and I think really highly of him. I thought it would be a kind of 6-4 type deal. He wouldn't get humiliated, but he wouldn't really give himself another chance, especially because of the length of the match. That was a talking point, that Sinner's never won a match over 3 hours 50 minutes long. In the game where he served for the match, it ticked over 3 hours 50 minutes long. I mean, it was literally, it was poetic, because had he taken the championship points in Alcaraz's service game, it would have been under that 350 mark, and it would have been within his kind of safe zone. And then as soon as he missed those and he went to serve for it, it went over that safe zone. And I know it's not a real thing. Of course, very, very soon he'll win a match over 3 hours 50 minutes long. But it was a little bit amusing, if not tragic, at the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. It's a whole it's like a play. It's like fiction. It's like someone wrote this match. It's really wild. But yeah, the whole thing about 3 hours 50, I mean, people then always doubt his fitness. It's like, oh well, if that goes deep into a fifth, I don't know if his leg will hold up. But clearly that's not really a thing. I mean, he was probably a bit slower in the fifth, but he was still there. He still had enough in the tank to physically stay in it at least. But by the end, it was just the tennis part that was just way too good from Alcaraz, and so he lost.
The question is if there is someone else than Carlos Alcaraz who can take Sinner into 4-hour battle nowadays, because it doesn't seem like that. But maybe someone can. But
well, maybe if Sinner's a little bit injured, I think Holger could. Something like that. If Sinner was, I think, actually throughout the tournament really high level. He was his kind of fitness and injury report seemed crisp throughout, straight sets all the time, no messing about at all business. And I don't think, as dominant as he is, I don't think the majority of his slam runs will be like that, because it is very rare that he's going to come in with quite so much rest. So I can see it happening, but I also think, in my mind, it's probably not that bold to predict, but the next match Sinner plays that's 4 hours long, he'll win.
I mean, I think it's likely in the sense that it's likely he'll win the next match he plays. That's it's just not. Yeah, it's just not a big factor anymore. That I think, hopefully he'll see it that way, because it's just not really a thing. He didn't lose this match because it was 5 hours 29. He lost this match because the match happened, and that tiebreak was too good from Carlos, and that was it. No, but yeah, there's just so much to think about, even about the match and then the narratives, because in a way, this match kind of like protected the status quo on tour, where it's like, well, Sinner is the best on hard courts, and then Alcaraz is probably the best on natural surfaces. If Sinner wins that, it's like, well, can't be stopped probably at all by anyone anywhere. But then Carlos showed that he can do things that no one else can, and that's enough to stop Sinner in one of those. So basically, it's where we were before, but with like the best match of all time on top of it.
Also, like affirmation in the narratives that they are accurate, which I, maybe I live in too much of a kind of fairy tale land that I felt so much power in the narratives and the status quo that I felt confidence that Carlos would win this match. Especially what I said before is that he's not going to let Jannik win both Roland Garros and Wimbledon. Like that just wasn't happening at all. And I thought that those predetermined narratives, I had so much faith in them that I just would have been so surprised if Jannik had won that match at basically every point. I don't know. Just really incredible from both of them, and Carlos especially. I think the fact that he can go from playing silly tennis, it is kind of sometimes silly tennis where it seems thoughtless and not tactically calculated, to all of a sudden playing like mature tennis, the tennis that you need to get a point won. I think that is really such an amazing skill, and I don't know if it's something that he'd rather not have that. He'd rather just play well all the time. But the fact that he can flip between these two states so quickly, but probably bothers Jannik, and probably would bother many other players who are ever going that deep with him.
I mean, that's what makes him extremely dangerous, because like if you were his opponent, you never know when he can achieve that level. Like he can achieve it next point, or he doesn't have to achieve all match, but you are still in your head that he is capable of doing it, and you need to stay focused every time.
Yeah, it's a good point, because it feels like no lead is safe, or nothing is ever safe when Carlos is there. Yeah,
it's like you never fully feel in control of that match, even though objectively, by the time those match points came, Sinner was in control of it. Basically, he had it on his terms. That was the perfect match actually for him up until that point. But yet, that match ended the way it ended. So it's interesting. I wonder if it will how much it will play out in the like next matches. Like, does that mean Sinner is going to be more nervous if like he builds a lead, or what else? It will be so interesting to follow. And I think this was like a much needed injection of quality, extreme quality and drama in that rivalry, because they were eating further allegations in the sense that people were saying, oh yeah, these matches are always so hyped up, and then they don't really deliver that much. Well, now it's going to be hard to top, but still a reminder that no rivalry is on the level of this at all.
And it is so amazing how big the gap is between them and everyone else, but how small the difference is between them two. I mean, literally millimeters difference. One of Carlos's forehands lands out and Jannik wins. It's so bizarre to be. I find it so interesting when elite athletes are that evenly matched, but also so far from the field. They have reached the top of what is possible right now. And yeah, just very interesting in the context of their rivalries. I think I have watched every single match they've ever played on tour, because I was tuned in. I was sat for that Paris Masters match on court 1 at the horrible.
Yeah, I think so was
I don't think I've seen the UMAC final only.
Bro, that was amazing. Carlos, I think he did this. He won a set or something like that. He put up 1-15 finger saying there's only one left, and then he lost the next two 6-1, 6-1 or something like that.
Yeah, that was kind of bizarre actually.
Really bizarre. It was a weird summer for Carlos because he also lost to Lorenzo Musetti in a final
Oh yeah, that's true.
on clay. What next for them? Or do you have any other kind of thoughts on the...
No, I mean, Wimbledon I think is going to be, well, obviously very interesting in so many ways, but I think actually it might be a bit hard to like manage how much people want this match, you know? You know, are they just going to boo every single person who has like a lead on either of them? It's like, get out of the way. We need to have the Sinner Alcaraz final. No, it just makes everything more exciting, honestly. You know, as someone who is biased, you know, who wanted Sinner to win, still probably as like someone who wants probably the best for tennis and, you know, for exciting matches, all of that. This was most definitely actually the best outcome. So yeah, we'll see how it all unfolds.
I'm just trying to think like which Czech will win Wimbledon this year. So I have many of them in my head, but I'm trying like, you know.
Petra Kvitova!
No. After today, I don't think so. But I have obviously Carol, but she is playing with one wrist only, so I can see it. But I remember you said that Boskova is going to win Wimbledon, so I'm going to go with Boskova this year.
I predicted her to win the 2025 Australian Open, which she didn't quite do. In fact, she lost to, and she was the very first person to lose this year. She lost to Andreeva. But I think she is good at Wimbledon.
Right.
So why not? They're running out of Czechs. Maybe Siniakova?
Maybe in doubles, yeah.
Maybe Talentova?
Oh, that would be incredible. I would be actually in the front row at Wimbledon watching that. Running to the court.
It was a kind of very fitting ending because the whole time they felt like they were on a collision course with each other, right? And if they neither of them really felt like they had any serious obstacles, so we did get it. And if we managed to get that final in Wimbledon again, I mean, it's the making of like quite some rivalry, if it isn't already. Have any of the big three ever lost from 2 love up against the other?
Don't think so. Okay, 2011 between Djokovic and Federer. No, I don't think that was 2011. No. But I mean, yeah, that's, I guess, the best comparison is the match point saved and then win from Djokovic against Federer. No, I think those are like the most notable examples. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think those three were like the best player of all time, and they played so many matches, and then maybe only like 2 or 3 of them at most match up to this. You know, can be considered as good at this, and it's only like their 11th match, which kind of a lot for most players, but for 2 all-time greats who are really young, that's not many yet.
They could go down as the best rivalry ever. I don't think there's no world in which they go down as like the greatest or most legendary or iconic, because I don't think you're matching the big three era no matter what you do, regardless of all of Carlos's aura and fame on gay Twitter. I think that there's a chance that they could go down as like they could be the highest quality. Probably unlikely that it would last as long, but they've now won the last 6 slams, which is not to the level of dominance that I was expecting quite so soon.
So that's a good question. So are they winning the next 2?
I would say so. Like
Sinner and Talentova at the Wimbledon ball together.
No, I mean, US Open is basically locked for Sinner, in my opinion. Like do
you think so?
Yeah, I mean, on a hard court, I think he's the best player by far.
Yeah, I think you can give him that. That actually the gap on hard court is probably,
especially on the faster hard court,
I think because I think Sinner is probably a bit, for now at least, better on natural surfaces than Carlos is on fast hard courts, where he keeps actually losing quite early to people sometimes who just literally are not good. So, or you know, compared to him, are just not on that level whatsoever. So,
all right, so I am on the fence with this one because when I watched Alcaraz play Tsitsipas at the US Open, that match, I think he was 16 or something like that. He was so young.
He wasn't 16. He was like 18.
Isn't he 18 now?
No, he's 20, like 21.
It was 4 years ago. Okay, whatever age he was. Whatever age he was small and he was young and he looked like more like a child. He looked like a teenager, you know. And I saw things I'd never seen before, and I was like, this guy's so fucking good. And I thought, after that, next year he won the US Open, and I was like, he's gonna win this tournament every year. Like, I don't see how he loses here. And since then, he's been absolutely crap. And I don't know whether it's I'm not very good in these conditions, I'm not very good at the US Open thing, or whether it's I struggle with the length of the season and being the level that I need to be throughout, in the way that other players don't. I mean, we see quite low dips from him, Botic van der Zandschulp type dips.
I mean, last year he was affected by the Olympic loss too, I think. That was...
Yeah. And the year before, I think he was affected by the Cincinnati loss, which is similar conditions, but he played excellent tennis. You laugh, but he cared!
Okay, no, but what he needs to do then, that means, if he faces Djokovic in a match,
just tank.
Don't show up on court. Don't show up on court. Pull out. To say no. You know, I'm not doing all that. You know, whatever.
For my mental health, I'm not showing up to work today.
Literally, yeah. Take a mental health break. You know, and be like, well, I have to play at the US Open, so sorry, whatever.
I already picked João Fonseca to win the US Open. He's obviously not doing that, but. I think Carlos is going to win this year. I think he has a thing. I really believe when he sets his eyes on something and when he decides it's important to him, he's going to have it. And I think it would be, especially if Jannik wins Wimbledon, he'll say, US Open, that is important to me and I need to have it.
That makes sense. And it's interesting. He's like the main character of tennis, you know. If you're Alcaraz, I think he actually said it, you know. He's like, well, I won my, like, fifth slam at the same age as Nadal, whatever, something actually kind of irrelevant in cricket. But if I was him, I would believe in like fate. You know, I feel like the main character, like on tour and like in the universe. It's something about him and like the way that match unfolded and the way kind of everything goes for him. It's like
he's literally him. He is him. Like
he's destined for things, I guess.
And the way he stops, the way the world stops to watch him. This is the second time this has happened, where like during a match, all of a sudden the match has become the thing that people are interested in. The Wimbledon final, it wasn't like really, really, really hyped, but I felt the energy throughout, and people were tuning in later on. And the same thing happened for Roland Garros. You go on Twitter and you see random people talking about him, and we know Twitter is representative of real life, so we should take exactly what it says. He is. I think this main character thing is like really accurate. It feels like everything's written around him and decided based on him. And
I think even the US Open match where Jannik had match points too, or match point, that was kind of same. Like people just stopped and came to watch.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just extremely entertaining to watch. Like I said it, he's probably the most entertaining player right now.
Yeah, I would maybe go forever, because I think, of at least since maybe Rod Laver and Suzanne Lenglen were there as well, but no one watched that. Apart from Legade. I do think he has the ability to come back from impossible positions, a la Novak. I hate to do these comparisons, but here they're needed. But that sort of lovableness, the fight, the passion that is obvious of Nadal, I think like there's something for everyone to get into, if that makes sense.
Are you doing the Twitter from Tennis TV like meme?
Movement, movement, serve, it's probably lazy, but it's the most easy reference point that people have. Like, I could say he has the entertaining quality of an Angelique Kerber, which it's true, but everyone's like, what are you talking about?
That's a good one, actually.
But yeah, I feel that way. Like, when I watch Kerber, I feel that same way.
Yeah, true. That's true.
No one understands. Anyway,
Yeah.
on just quickly, similarly related to the point that people stop their lives to tune in to these matches, I just want to say, God, if you're listening, I need 5-set WTA. I need a best of 5 WTA. I don't really care how many there are. I'd love it if it were quarterfinals onwards. But it is selling the product short that we don't get to have this. Imagine the Coco Sabalenka match and how those peaks and troughs would have happened if they still had 2 sets to play afterwards. Like, we're leaving so much on the table, and I don't give a shit if they don't think that they would hold up physically. I don't care. Take some drugs or whatever. We need it. And it's so unfair. You know what I realise is that in best of 5, there are points where they tactically, or not points, moments where they tactically say it's time to calm down a bit and chill out a bit. And there's a few of your opponent's service games that you're not going to get into because you just can't do that for 5 hours for 5 sets, all the time. You can't be that locked in. And they're allowed to do that, and they're encouraged to do that. And the momentum swings that up and down actually feed in to the feeling of the match and the narrative of the match. Whereas in the women's game, it actually just has to be full on the whole time. And it means you can get some excellent matches where it's full on the whole time, but the majority of them are, it started slow and it ramped up. Or it was good, and then it kind of tailed off a bit.
Yeah.
You don't have time for the ups and downs and to kind of come and go with the feeling of it. And it's just so unfair.
No, it's really crazy. Like, a bad, 10 or 15 minutes can ruin a women's match. Like, literally. And especially in slam finals. When you see it so often. Someone starts well and the other starts, not great. And it's it's over. Literally, they feel like it's over because I've just lost a set and I'm about, 30 minutes away potentially from losing the whole thing. So you just see your dreams being crushed in front of you, and you just have no time to get back into it and to make something happen and to settle at all.
It's definitely more mentally draining playing best of 3, and that's why if men played best of 3, if it would be the other way around, do you know how many slams Novak wouldn't have won? He was just going 2 sets down for funsies. So obviously he would have to be. Obviously he won many Masters and all other titles. So that's kind of irrelevant. But
it does change. It does change how you have to be, and it changes the viewing experience. But it changes the playing experience as well. What would you do for it then? Do you have a dream? Do you have a dream? Martin Luther King's daughter, by the way, who weighed in on the Coco Sabalenka situation. Do you have a desire for women to play best of 5?
I guess I wouldn't hate it. I think at some point it would help women's tennis a lot because we would get some epics. Maybe we would get some 3 sets horrible matches, but we get them on the men's side too. I know there are some scheduling conflicts. You can have so many 5-set so many long matches at a Grand Slam, but I don't know. From the quarterfinals, I wouldn't hate it if women played 5-set matches. I think it would just create a lot of exposure for women's tennis too, because seeing women playing for best of 5 is super impressive. If they played 5 sets, they can do what the men can do too. So why not? But every time, and I'm gonna bring it to the conversation again. Every time someone is talking about best of 5, I'm imagining if Petra, played 5-set match. she nowadays she can play only 1-set match, but even before, I just can't imagine her in a 5-hour battle against Sarasari Bastormo at French Open round 1. I just can't imagine, but maybe she could do it.
Yeah, it's really interesting, but that's my thing. It's just not a conversation at the moment, and it used to be a conversation because they even tried it at the WTA finals in the 90s, and
it was excellent.
From what I think it worked out. There were some epics. So yeah, I think it's interesting, and actually sometimes it's not quite the same, but sometimes you see women play 2 matches in the same day because they're schedule issues, and so basically they are playing like 3 or 4 hours in a day. And it's like, well, it seems possible, or at least even some might struggle, but it's not that far away. Maybe they need to like train differently and like focus more on that kind of like long-term fitness or whatever. But I think it should be a conversation way more, and not be like, oh well, they don't want it, whatever. Have they been asked recently? You know, it's, and how widespread is this opinion? You know, I want to know that too.
Who gives a shit what Paula Badosa wants? Like, I'm serious. Like, in the context of things, if she said, "Oh, I want Roland Garros moved to Spain," actually, would we care? No. So why do we care about her opinion on something?
And it
that
was
is...
only her, or
No. I'm not... No. But I mean, these individuals. We sometimes seem to decide we're going to start paying attention to individual opinions when it comes to things like changing things that exist, but actually it's only to further what people already want, what the society already wants. I have so many reasons why I think best of 5 and the women's has to happen. I mean, if not anything else, like the grand day of a slam, sometimes ending in 2 sets and it being 1 hour 40 long, it's just shit. Even a straight sets 3 sets straight sets match is just way better to watch in almost every case, and way better as an occasion. And also, like, they are still endurance athletes. They train. You never know whether a match might go for 4 hours. You might be playing Sara Sorribes Tormo. You have to prepare for the occasion where you might face Haddad Maia. So they're ready for that. They're maybe not ready for back-to-back 5-hour-long matches, but I mean, most of the men's players aren't either. You couldn't bring it in like, oh, we're starting tomorrow, we're going to do best of 5 at slams, but we need to start pushing it because I need it, and I need it in my lifetime. Need so badly.
Yeah, I assume like the average best of 3 matches 2-3 hours. Like, we talk about 5 hours, but those are epics. Like, even at the men's side, like, we don't get many 5-hour epics. And
yeah,
so
exactly right. And would usually the players who do play 5-hour epics, it's round 1, some Lloyd Harris against Francesco Comisana on court 17, and like, who cares? No offense, who really cares who wins that? Or it's the final and it's Coco against Iga, and it's like 2 players who can definitely take that kind of strain, that kind of length. So the arguments are lazy. I'm going to start a camp. I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to be a full-time women have to play best of 5 campaigner. That was my most important point for now. Any other kind of thoughts on PSAs?
I have none. I have no thoughts. I'm thoughtless.
Thoughts on Kvitova's chances for Wimbledon?
1%.
Does she have a wild card?
I think she's using a prospective ranking.
I don't think she's winning the title, but you know what? Who she reminds me of at the moment? She reminds me of Wawrinka, when there is like a very clear difference between the way they play like first round or like third round, when you just know Wawrinka is going to be like cooked. But when it's actually the first round and the fitness is like maybe not as much of a concern, and they can still like hit the ball like anyone. So I can see her like upsetting someone like good early on.
Imagine her upsetting Iga Świątek on the Wimbledon center court.
I can imagine that actually.
Yeah, I need a Kvitova early upset, but not of anyone I like. Stay away from Ons. Stay away from. You could take Rybakina.
Navarro.
She could take Navarro. I don't care. More time to spend hanging out in the village. Yeah, grass season is here, guys. Enough of the nonsense. Real tennis is back. Anything more to say?
No, I mean, pretty great tournament. Kind of carried by the end, but I guess that's also kind of what you want, like it leads up to something.
It was supported by a good kind of middle chunk by the women. I think there was some.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. No, I meant on the men.
It was going to say that it was kind of sad. Like, women were playing better matches like for 13 days, but everyone will only talk about the match on the 14th day. But
Yeah.
This is why we need best
Exactly,
of 5, though.
exactly,
There's never any
exactly.
world where a 3-set match would outshine that match. Like, even if the best match
That's
ever.
true, yeah.
Yeah. We fucking need it. I'm going to write an open letter to the WTA tonight. And the Grand Slams. Post it on my Twitter, and maybe they'll reply.
Make sure to add Donovic.
Yeah, of course. Although she hasn't been replying to any of my stuff recently. And by the way, I think she lost to a 23-year-old Russian I've never heard of today. So
Yeah,
that's
so
good.
that.
Queens has just been upset after upset. Thank you, Marty, for coming.
thank you. It was amazing. I had an amazing time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Good,
thank you.
Good. Yeah, sorry, it's quite long, but guys, if you have any questions for Marty, if you need him to replace one of the main two hosts, you let us know. Any engagement is good engagement, even if it's you're hurling abuse at us. It feels like there was some discourse that we missed, but yeah, there's been discourse left, right, and centre, and we are now coming up for half the length of the Jannik Sinner Carlos Alcaraz match. So, in the interests of not overshadowing them, outshining them,
That's a big concern for them, I'm sure.
they should be concerned. They should be concerned. You can imagine Carlos, on the phone to his mate saying, "Streets are saying the Racket Will Talk wrap-up is almost as good as our match." And they got a special guest on. Yeah, thank you very much to anyone who listened. Sam, you usually do the outro.
That's right. Thank you for listening for this, extra long podcast. Honestly, I thought we did pretty well on the length front. This could have been way worse, so be thankful.
Worse. Longer.
Longer. No, but yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you, Marty, for being on. And we'll talk to you quite soon after some grass action.
And soon as well, we're gonna get live action, as in Sam and I will be watching tennis together.
Yes.
Oh, fantastic! You don't want to miss it, guys.
Marty will be missing it.
Sadly, yeah.
Thank you guys again.
Jeu 7 match Alcaraz. 3 matchs à 2. 4-6. 6-7, 6-4, 7-6, 7-6.